Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus, and I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with...
Nick Corleone. I am an actor. I'm in the touring production of The Lion King. I was actually born in San Diego, right down south a little bit, and yeah, have been doing regional theater for most of my career. A lot of classical work, a lot of Shakespeare, and then as of the last 5.5 years, I've been doing Timon and the Lion King. Timon is a streetwise meerkat, and he and his buddy Pumbaa, a warthog, sort of adopt young Simba, the one of the Lion Kings in the story, as he's sort of trying to find his way in life. And we are the duo that sort of teach him Hakuna Matata, which means no worries, and we sort of become his surrogate family. Once he is sort of lost in the show, and then we sort of help him find his way back.
I believe the original part in the movie was played by Nathan Lane. Is that correct?
It sure is, yeah. Nathan Lane, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of his because obviously he's a great theater actor.
Yeah, he's incredible, and his voice is iconic in the role. You kind of go, he has this great quality that we try to sort of adopt, which is the idea that he could be eaten at any time. He has this sort of high-strung kind of, piercing quality of danger is right around the corner at any moment. It's so funny that as you read the play, the musical, you see kind of, like, because sometimes people will say, oh, you sounded just like him, or sometimes people will say, no, you sounded just like your own version. But there's so much written in it that brings out similar qualities. Like he tends to have sort of a New Jersey-ish, New York kind of streetwise sense about him, kind of like a wannabe wise guy. A lot of times people say that there's a Pesci quality, like a Joe Pesci quality to him. And I think those are all great starting places for who the character is and how he presents himself.
Yeah, I've heard some people describing Lion King to be a lot like Hamlet.
Yeah, definitely. It has a lot of Shakespearean parallels, and I would go so far as to say that it has some of Henry IV, with sort of Prince Hal sort of shirking his responsibilities and kind of palling around with these guys who say, don't worry about the royalty aspect. It has a little bit of Richard III in Scar as this sort of looming guy, puppet master who's trying to pull all the strings to stay in power or to become in power. And then definitely the storyline of the brother who wants his other brother's throne and works to get it, and the young prince kind of coming back and saving the day, as it were. We just have a happier version.
So would your part be more like Horatio?
You know what? There's a little bit of Horatio, but more, we're sort of the outsiders. We're a little bit more like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Yeah, we're sort of on the outside of court life and don't really understand how it works. We're sort of taken by surprise as the idea of royalty is introduced. We're like, wait a minute, what, this guy? So yeah, we're sort of like the guys kind of hanging out in the pub with young Prince Hal and Henry.
I believe for this part you have to do some puppetry work.
Yeah, I actually have a bunraku style, like 3.5-foot orange puppet that stands in front of me that I'm harnessed up to, and I can operate both of his arms, and our feet are connected to each other, and then I can sort of alternate between using his right arm and putting my hand to operate the mouth. It's a beautiful puppet, and if you've ever seen bunraku in the past, you would find that the puppeteer is all in black, and it's all against black. But for our production, Julie Taymor wanted you to be able to watch the artist sort of making the puppets come to life if you wanted to. She calls it a double event, where you can either watch the puppet exclusively or the puppeteer exclusively, or sort of blend them ideally as the show goes on, that you sort of forget which one you're watching. And I'm all in green behind him, as if I were some sort of some grass or some shrubs behind him. And it's pretty stark at first because the set is so tan. And then as this show goes on, more and more green is introduced, and I sort of disappear in theory. But it really makes for what your mind does as you're watching it is it really blends it. It makes it kind of a rich sort of amalgam.
Yeah, you're a very good radio interviewer because a lot of people don't realize that there's no pictures going on with radio, but you've described a lot of the coloring and a lot of everything.
Yeah. Well, it's such a funny question. I get a lot that people say, well, "Why are you green?" And I was like, "Well, you might. I think it's this." And so I've done a lot of thinking about why am I green. You'll find too when the character, the actor who's operating the Zazu puppet, which is another very intricate, beautiful puppet. The puppet has become mostly white, and then his costume is all in this blue sort of almost like a butler major domo's suit, as if he were the sky sort of up underneath Zazu, keeping him aloft.
Great. Did you have some kind of background in puppetry before this?
No, nothing short of, if you're in a toy store and you see that rack of puppets, just playing around a little bit. I had no experience, and it's great as we had about 5 or 6 weeks before joining the production. And when you first start in rehearsal, they give you the puppet and they give you a set of mirrors and they say, all right, let's see if you can make this thing come to life. And then as you go, the director, resident director, dance supervisor, head of puppets, all these folks will give you pointers, but for the most part, it's you and the puppet and mirrors trying to find what looks the best or what makes the puppet come the most alive.
Yeah, that's something very interesting I've always wondered about, because you as an actor or performer, you obviously you have to know how to sing, you have to know how to act, you probably need to know how to dance, but suppose it's something that it's like puppetry, and you've never done puppetry before, or say skating, if you were doing Little Mermaid or something from Andrew Lloyd Webber, and they say, well, you got to have roller skates on the entire play, and you've never been on roller skates on. What do you do?
Well, what I love about performing in general is that you sort of become like a mini expert on whatever the thing is. Say it's a play about wood carving or whatever it is. You study that in this like hyper sort of condensed period where you try and find out as much as you can that serves the story, where you're not just spinning your wheels or doing extraneous stuff, but you're trying to find all the stuff that'll help you tell the story the best. And actors tend to be pretty facile about getting those skills into their body. And throughout the audition process, that they're looking for somebody, not necessarily who's expertly mastered it, but somebody whose relationship with learning is such that you can see they're going to get it. Like somebody who's not fighting against the puppet and going, I can't make this thing work, but somebody who enjoys the process and who goes, oh, this is great, I know how to do this, I can do something, maybe this might work. They're looking for a relationship with learning that actors tend to have in general, like, oh, I'll get to learn to ride a horse and make it look like I've been doing it for years. I'll try and employ little tricks tricks of the trade, but a lot of it is study. You learn as quickly as you can, but also as in depth as you can.
So you've never gotten to the point where, again, let's take the example of skating. You say you're doing Little Mermaid and say, oh, we loved you in Lion King. We'd like to have you in Little Mermaid. We want you to do Sebastian. Only problem is you got to be on skates because everyone's on skates and you can't skate. You've tried it a few times. You wind up flat on your face. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I get, what's great, too, is in theory you might have time during the day to study or to hire somebody to coach you. But it's kind of amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it and you go, no, I'm passionate about this project. This is what I do for a living. I'm gonna make this skill something that I can put in my toolbox. Yeah, it's funny. I did a production of A Christmas Carol one time, and they wanted everybody on stage to appear to be ice skating, and there was no skates and no ice. And so that was the challenge there, was to go, oh, okay, well, what does the body do when you're ice skating? So it was a lot of sort of this heightened pantomime of ice skating, and then trying to relearn, oh, well, maybe I'm not as good an ice skater, so you're not really trying to imitate the act of ice skating, but then you're trying to imitate, well, what is it like when you're really on solid ground, and just trying to find reality in the face of all the artifice.
Yeah. That's fascinating because a lot of people just don't think of actors like that. It's you're communicating something. You're acting skating. You're not skating. You're acting skating. It's part of
Yeah,
movement.
right. Yeah, and the sort of what you were describing too is then what about if you have to do both? You have to both be acting and be doing the thing, which is that's just another form of plate spinning that you get. It's a fun challenge. Like, and ultimately, I bet if you couldn't end up doing it, then if the creative team was excited enough about you, they might modify it, or they would say no, it's inherent to the story, and we need to have somebody who can really kill it.
Okay, now a little bit about you. Question: why did you decide to become an actor?
That's a good question. As long as I've, been aware, I've known that playing and pretend has always been an important part of my life, and my imagination and using it was always really exciting and rewarding. And early on, I knew that I wanted to be so many things. Like I wanted to be Han Solo, and I wanted to be a helicopter pilot, or I wanted to be, a professional quarterback, and all of these things I wanted them passionately. And I thought, oh wait, if you're an actor, you get to do all of these things for a little bit. You get to pretend that, and find sort of truths in these stories, but that for a little bit of time you get to inhabit these personas. And I knew really early on that was something that I was probably called to do. And then as I studied more and got involved in, community theater growing up, and then speech and debate in high school, and then studied in college, it was really clear that was my strongest skill set, and that was where I could use my the way I thought about the world the best, and that I could commit my life to the arts.
Yeah, I ask that question a lot because I'm very curious on just exactly what an artist is, and a lot of my heroes start at a very young age. They start like when they're 5, and they just know that they're an artist.
Yeah, and back then I wouldn't have said that I was an artist, and I just would have said that I know I love to behave as if these situations were real, and that's what an actor does, and it just slowly over my life those things came closer together, and I was like, oh, that is what that is, and it's a not only a worthwhile profession, it's necessary. It makes the world better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also ask artists basically, the debate between whether it's nature or nurture, whether it's a learned trait and all that, because you've just been describing how you're learning how to skate, how you're learning how to do puppetry work. There's so much learning involved in being an actor. It's amazing. You start at 5, you can keep when you're 18th. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's sort of in theory, it's a perfect blend. You've got this instinct that tells you, oh, I want to do, I want to tell stories, or I want to play for a living, and then you go, okay, well, how do I do that the best? And then that's where all of the learning comes in, the skill sets and learning the craft of it. How do I do this? Because anybody can play, for a few minutes. But then in theory, you're going, oh, well, I want to do this 8 times a week for 5 years. So you've got to learn a new skill set that says, oh, I can keep it fresh all these times. I'm not just doing it by rote. I can make this fresh for myself and for the audience every night, which is that's a necessary skill too. And then, like you said, all the learning to dance or move well, or get, if you can't sing like an opera singer, finding your voice and saying, okay, well, what pieces are there that I can use my voice and still sing and not have to be, Pavarotti. But yeah, it's definitely a balancing act between nature and nurture.
Okay, well, let's get back to Lion King. So you're on a national tour of Lion King. What's that like?
It is incredible. There's nothing like it. It's a sort of a traveling family. There's anywhere from 50 cast and orchestra to moving up toward close to 100 people around backstage, both our crew and the local crew. And then when you get into like the offices, you've got getting close to 200 people, all making this show work every night, and everybody who's committed to this story and really committed their lives. You'll find families on the road. I travel with my 13-year-old daughter, and we homeschool to every day. And there's a lot of sort of peripheral family involved. And sometimes we'll drive from city to city. Not my daughter and I would drive every city, and then people finding houses and really living in a community for anywhere from a month to 2 months. You get to learn a city in a way that you wouldn't if you were just passing through, or if it was a shorter run, or if you were just there for a short time. So we get to tell this great story and introduce it to people who have seen it before, people who haven't seen it before, people who are coming back and bringing their kids because now their kids are ready, and we get to travel as a family and bring it to families, which is really unique. We get to go all over North America. We spent the whole summer up in Canada and got to experience that in addition to being able to tell the story. It's just great. It's a blast.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize what it takes to actually bring on a Broadway level musical. I'm told that to break even, the office needs to generate like $500,000 a week, like $500,000 a week just to break even. But they don't realize that people have committed their lives, their families have to be uprooted, they travel. It's actually very inexpensive when you think of the price that they're actually paying.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about, like we said, the 200 plus people who are all here for this, we've got, I think it's anywhere from 15 to 17 semis that drive we have 2 sets so we can sort of leapfrog from city to city and be ready right when we get to the city. Driving all over, it's like, this is this is a real force.
Yeah, and actually I've heard a lot of great reviews about, obviously I've seen Lion King the movie, heard a lot of great reviews about the musical.
Yeah, it is. It's unlike anything else. I mean, the opening number alone just blows people away. It blows me away, and I've seen it, a million times. That's one of the only regrets I have is that Timon and Pumbaa aren't in Circle of Life. But we get to bring all of these animals in this a very simple story, but a very powerful, moving story. And then all of these beautiful, all of our costumes are hand sewn, hand beaded, hand dyed, hand crocheted. When you see the zebras coming out, they're in these full jumpsuits that are hand crocheted. You go, what? The artwork, not just the performers, but the artwork that's going on backstage. Our puppet crew can fabricate puppets from scratch or modify puppets that already exist, and shape and sculpt and paint match. It's hand woven grass skirts. It really is an amazing sort of collection of all these artists.
Great. Okay, I got one last question for you. A lot of my listeners are actually community theater actors, and a lot of them are students. If they want to become professional musicians or professional actors, they want a career in music theater. What's the best advice you can give them?
Well, the first piece of advice I would give is to do exactly what they're doing, which is actually doing it. Like, that experience is invaluable. Whether it's no matter what stage it is, just getting in front of people and telling stories. You're training your mind and your body how to do that. And then beyond that, stepping outside of yourself and just experience to find people whose opinion you respect, whether it's teachers or friends if you're collaborating to do projects on your own. Find people you respect and get better at it every day. Like, we do the show 8 times a week, and we have just expert dancers and expert technicians, and all these people are still working on their craft. They're taking yoga every day, they're working out, they're still taking dance class. We still do readings to keep ourselves fresh and keep our minds alive. Scene work, doing little short seminars on shooting movies with our phones, all this kind of stuff, but just sort of staying active and staying in the work. And that's pretty much what I would say to do, is to just keep doing it and study so that you can get better at it.
I'll let you go because obviously you got a lot of stuff to do. You got a kid, obviously. You got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for the interview again. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye. Disney's The Lion King will be playing at the Segerstrom Center for the Arts from October 6th to November 1st. For more information, go to www.scfta.org or theorangecurtainrev.com.